From Amy Cheryl Duncan, who exposed her husband, Tim Duncan, for liking men.
So is Tim Duncan bisexual? Yeah, his wife, there are rumors that his wife said that.
Yeah.
To Dwight Howard, who was exposed for allegedly hooking up with men while married.
Are you gay, bro?
And what I do in my personal life is nobody fucking
Thank you.
business.
Thank you.
In this video, we're breaking down NBA players whose wives and partners have exposed them for being gay. Let's start with the biggest name on this list, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is one of the most decorated players in the history of professional basketball. 5 championships, 2 MVPs, 15 All-Star selections, a career so disciplined and so fundamentally sound that they didn't even give him a flashy nickname. They just called him the Big Fundamental, and they meant it as a compliment. Off the court, Duncan was exactly the same. Private, quiet, guarded in a way that most athletes at his level are not. He didn't do interviews he didn't need to do. He didn't make headlines he didn't earn on the floor. For nearly 2 decades, Tim Duncan was one of the cleanest, most boring stories in professional sports, and he appeared to prefer it that way, which is why what happened in March 2013 landed so differently. Right in the middle of the Spurs playoff run, Duncan's wife Amy, who he had been with since their days at Wake Forest University, filed for divorce in Bexar County District Court in San Antonio. She cited discord or conflict of personalities. It was sudden, it was unexpected, and what followed behind closed doors got ugly. Court documents showed suspicions of infidelity running in both directions. Duncan's legal team reportedly hired a private investigator. The family's personal trainer became a subject of inquiry. But then, allegations began circulating from a different direction entirely. Reports from gossip outlets, most notably Diary of a Hollywood Street King, published claims sourced from an anonymous insider alleging that Amy had known for years about a same-sex relationship between Duncan and a close male friend from his Wake Forest days. The divorce was finalized privately in August 2013 in a judge's office during a lunch hour, away from cameras, at the explicit request of both parties. The rumors spread far enough to reach Danny Green, who had played alongside Duncan for years in San Antonio. Green sat down with Charlamagne Tha God at the Breakfast Club, who got right to it.
So is Tim Duncan bisexual?
I didn't hear anything about it. I just recently heard about it. Somebody saying rumors, something.
Green hadn't gotten the full story yet, but Charlamagne was ready to catch him up.
Yeah, his wife, there are rumors that his wife said that.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Green's response was measured, loyal, about as much as you'd expect from a teammate.
Would it bother you if he was?
I mean, Timmy's Tim. You know, to me, I'm not gonna look at him any differently.
But Green did acknowledge what was clearly happening in the background.
But you know, he's going through some stuff, and that's what happens when you go through a divorce, and sometimes it gets ugly.
And Charlamagne, in his trademark fashion, put the whole situation into plain language.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing a woman's gonna say when she wants to slander you. Either you're gay, you got a little penis,
or
you're
you have
broke.
herpes.
Next on the list is Dwight Howard. If Tim Duncan's story is about silence and control, Dwight Howard's is the complete opposite, because very little about Dwight Howard's personal life has ever stayed quiet.
Are you gay, bro?
Is this what you want to talk about?
No, I don't want to talk about that, bro.
So then why are we talking about it?
Because you went viral off of that, bro.
Howard was selected #1 overall by the Orlando Magic in the 2004 NBA draft and became one of the most dominant centers of his generation. 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 8 All-Star selections, and a player who could take over a game at the defensive end in a way few players at his position ever have. On the court, he was a force. Off it, his personal life became a tabloid story that ran for years. He has 5 biological children with 5 different women, all born between 2007 and 2013. Howard acknowledged publicly in late 2024 that this wasn't the example he wanted to set for his kids, while expressing love for all of them. The most prominent of those relationships, in terms of public fallout, was with Royce Reed, an Orlando Magic cheerleader and Love and Hip Hop Atlanta cast member, and the mother of his son Braylon. Howard won a legal judgment against Reed in 2010 for discussing their relationship publicly in violation of their paternity agreement. That judgment did not stop her from talking. In podcasts and DJ Vlad interviews across several years, Reed described Howard as wanting to engage in activities she was not comfortable with. She referenced parties involving gay and transgender individuals. In one widely shared moment, she implied his sexuality covered what she called the full alphabet. But Reed was an ex-girlfriend, not a wife. Howard's first and only traditional marriage was to Amy Luciani, known publicly as Amber Howard. in January 2025. It lasted roughly 2 months before she filed for divorce. In March 2026, Luciani went live on Instagram and described alleged drug use, showed what she claimed was evidence of cocaine, and said Child Protective Services had been involved with his household on multiple occasions. Her accusations centered on drugs and child welfare, not sexuality. The most legally significant gay-related allegations against Howard came from men, not women. In 2023, a civil lawsuit from a man named Stephen Harper alleged sexual assault from a 2021 encounter at Howard's Georgia home. Howard acknowledged under oath that sexual activity had occurred but stated it was entirely consensual. The case was dismissed with prejudice in August 2024.
And what I do in my personal life is nobody fucking business.
Thank you.
Howard has repeatedly and clearly denied being gay in interviews across the years. He has also consistently stated that what happens in his private life is his own business. What makes his story unlike anyone else's on this list is the sheer volume, the number of relationships, the number of legal proceedings, the number of public statements across more than a decade. And yet nothing has ever been conclusively established. The noise keeps coming. Howard keeps answering it the same way, and the story keeps going. DeJuan Blair. Not everyone on this list played for 2 decades and won rings. Some of these stories belong to players who fought for every minute they got and left behind a legacy that looks nothing like what anyone expected. DeJuan Blair grew up in Pittsburgh and became a hero there before he ever played a professional game. He starred at Shenley High School, helped lead his team to a state championship, and went on to Pittsburgh, where he was named a consensus first-team All-American as a sophomore, averaging 15.7 points and 12.3 rebounds and carrying the Panthers to a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. He was drafted 37th overall by the San Antonio Spurs in 2009 and played 424 games across 7 NBA seasons with San Antonio, Dallas, and Washington. Career averages of 6.8 points and 5.1 rebounds. And here's the detail that makes it even more remarkable. He played all of it without functioning ACL ligaments in either knee. Both had deteriorated after high school surgeries. His body adapted. His will carried him the rest of the way. Off the court, his public personal life centers on a daughter named Heaven Love, born around 2014, with Angel Love Davis, a cast member on Basketball Wives LA. Davis has spoken openly about co-parenting and raising her daughter as a single mother after leaving the relationship and building her own profile in Los Angeles. In late 2024, Blair's name exploded across social media, but it wasn't Angel Love Davis doing the talking. It was a man named Paris Haynes.
You released a video of you and DeJuan Blair in the bed. Angel Love from Basketball Wives, baby daddy.
This was my husband. This was going to be my husband.
Haynes posted a photo of himself and Blair in bed together. He followed it with screenshots, messages, and detailed claims of a secret romantic relationship he said had lasted approximately 4 years. He described a domestic partnership, a shared life.
He brought somebody in your house?
In my bed. And you're cheating and lying to me, saying that you're out of town and you're 9 minutes down the street.
He brought somebody that was 400 pounds?
A big, thick, chunky guy.
He told Tasha K's platform in November 2024 that Davis had known about the situation and that the 3 parties had coexisted in some kind of understood arrangement. He alleged infidelity within the relationship and transmission of an STD. He described the whole dynamic as deeply toxic. Blair has not made any public statement in response. What makes this story stand out is what it isn't. The baby mama didn't do the exposing. Angel Love Davis was not the source of any of this. That distinction matters. Blair's story shows how the entire mechanism of exposure has shifted. One post, one photo, one platform. No divorce proceeding required, no courtroom, no legal battle, just social media, and then the world decides. Ray Allen. Ray Allen's career is the kind you put in a museum. 10 All-Star appearances, 2 championships, one of the most clutch shots in NBA Finals history, a corner 3 in the final seconds of Game 6 in 2013 that tied the series and set the stage for Miami's 2nd title. His place in basketball history is untouchable. His 2017 legal situation was something else entirely. In November of that year, a man named Bryant Coleman, a staffer at the University of Central Florida, filed a temporary restraining order against Allen. Coleman went public through TMZ Sports, claiming he and Allen had been in a romantic relationship lasting multiple years. He said Allen knew throughout the relationship that he was a man. He said things ended badly and that Allen had become threatening and dangerous.
Ray Allen is in the middle of one of the craziest legal wars I've seen in a very long time. Ray claims he was catfished by a man who was pretending to be several different women.
Allen's response was a complete and categorical denial. His legal team said Coleman had built multiple fake female identities online, fake profiles, fake photos, fake personas, to initiate contact with Allen. Allen claimed he believed the entire time that he was communicating with women and only discovered the deception after the fact.
Ray says that once he realized the person on the other end of the computer was not the woman he thought it was, but was in fact a man, he ended the relationship immediately.
Allen further claimed that Coleman then responded to the cutoff contact by launching a campaign of harassment, creating anonymous social media accounts, posting personal details about Allen's wife Shannon and their children, and physically showing up near Shannon's restaurant in Orlando. Allen's legal filings described it as cyberstalking and sought emergency relief from the court. In December 2017, Coleman voluntarily dropped the entire case. No romantic relationship was ever proven. No admission was ever made. Allen has been married to Shannon Walker Williams since 2008. He has not spoken publicly about the matter since the filings and attorney statements from that time. What stays with Allen's case is the fact that it was two completely irreconcilable versions of the same events. One describing a Hall of Famer who had a secret gay relationship and became threatening when it ended, and another describing a celebrity who was deceived online and then harassed into the courtroom. The legal system resolved nothing. Coleman walked away. And the gap between those two versions of the story has never been filled. Chris Humphries. Chris Humphries played 13 seasons in the NBA. He was a legitimate power forward, a physical rebounder, and a capable professional who logged real minutes for real teams over a real career. He was a working basketball player in every meaningful sense. And yet, when people hear his name, almost none of that is what comes to mind. What comes to mind is 72 days. Humphries married Kim Kardashian on August 20th, 2011, in a ceremony that was filmed as a 4-hour E! Television special. The whole world watched. And then, exactly 72 days later, on October 31st, Kim Kardashian filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Humphries didn't go quietly. He contested the divorce and sought an annulment, arguing the marriage had been staged for publicity and was therefore fraudulent. Kim maintained it was genuine, misguided, but real. The legal fight dragged on for nearly 2 years before the divorce was finalized in June 2013. No children, no significant shared assets, just an enormous media footprint and a cultural moment that never quite went away. Kim made sure of that. In 2022, during the filming of season 1 of The Kardashians on Hulu, she was at a rehearsal dinner for close friends who were getting married to each other.
I love gay weddings. It's obviously so nice to be here for a gay wedding. I mean, I haven't been to one since my second wedding.
She was testing material for her toast when she said that she loved a gay wedding because she hadn't been to one since her second wedding. Her second wedding was to Chris Humphries. It was a joke, a punchline delivered for the cameras in front of Scott Disick and a room full of people as part of a toast rehearsal. It made headlines within hours of the episode airing. A source close to Humphries told Radar Online that he was frustrated, that he had moved on, that he couldn't understand why Kim continued to bring his name into conversations about sexuality more than a decade after the divorce was finalized. Next on the list is one of the first NBA players to wholly accept his sexuality, John Amaechi. Now we turn to the men who chose to tell their own stories, because not every disclosure on this list came from the outside in. Some came from within, and the first one comes from a man who most casual NBA fans might not immediately place, which is precisely what makes his story so significant. John Amaechi grew up in England and didn't pick up a basketball until he was 17 years old. He eventually made it to the NBA, 294 games across 5 seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Orlando Magic, and Utah Jazz. Career averages of 6.2 points per game, a solid role player, not a household name. But what Amaechi did in 2007 made him one of the most important figures in the history of American professional sports. 4 years after retiring, he published a memoir called Man in the Middle. In it, he came out as gay, becoming the first former NBA player to do so publicly. It wasn't a press conference, it wasn't a statement, it was a book, a personal, detailed account of what it felt like to be closeted inside one of the most hyper-masculine environments in professional sports.
I am doing this thing, this coming out, this public kind of catalyst for discourse, I hope. But whilst I would love for it to inspire some high-level, well-known personalities to come out as straight allies,
the reactions that followed ranged from warm to outright hostile. The most notorious response came from Tim Hardaway, whose comments were so aggressively homophobic that they generated their own news cycle and required a public apology. Others, Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Grant Hill, were more measured and broadly supportive. After basketball, Amaechi built a second career that has far outgrown his first. He is a chartered psychologist, a professor of leadership at Exeter Business School, and the founder of a global leadership consultancy called APS Intelligence. He was awarded an OBE in 2011 for services to sport and the voluntary sector. In 2025, while promoting his third book, he was asked about the current state of things in the NBA. His answer was sharp. He said there are gay people throughout the league, players who are privately out to teammates without being publicly visible. But the absence of any openly gay active player since Jason Collins retired more than a decade ago was, in his view, a structural problem. About culture, about consequence, about who controls the narrative, and what honesty still costs in professional men's sport. Nearly 2 decades after his memoir, Amaechi remains the first and only former NBA player to have voluntarily told his story. That fact alone says something that no interview can fully explain. Jason Collins. If John Amaechi was the first to speak after the fact, Jason Collins was the first to speak while still playing. And the distance between those two things, former player and active player, is the entire point of why what Collins did still matters. Collins was drafted 18th overall by the Houston Rockets in 2001 and spent 13 seasons in the league as a 7-foot center, never a scorer, always valued for his defense, his physicality, and his ability to set screens that made his teammates' lives easier. He reached the NBA Finals twice with the New Jersey Nets. He played for 6 franchises, and through all of it, he kept a secret. On April 29, 2013, he stopped keeping it.
An act of personal courage, making history and creating a giant reaction in the ironclad world of professional sports. One of their own, Jason Collins, a powerhouse player in the NBA, a veteran of the court, today told the world he is gay.
Collins published a first-person essay in Sports Illustrated that opened with 12 words that changed professional sports.
Collins made history in Sports Illustrated with these 12 words. I'm a 34-year-old NBA center, I'm black, and I'm gay.
The response was unlike anything that had come before it in American professional sports. President Obama called him directly. Commissioner David Stern praised him publicly. Kobe Bryant tweeted in support. And Collins' twin brother, Jaren, also a former NBA player, didn't hesitate.
Today, reaction from around the league was swift and mostly supportive, with Collins' twin brother Jaren, a former NBA player himself, tweeting "very proud of you," and Kobe Bryant tweeting "don't suffocate who you are because of the ignorance of others."
Collins had been carrying a quiet tribute through his entire career. He wore the number 98 on his jersey, not because it was assigned to him, but because he chose it. 98 was the year Matthew Shepard, a young gay man in Wyoming, was murdered in an anti-gay hate crime. Every game, every season, that number was there. In February 2014, he signed with the Brooklyn Nets and became the first openly gay man to play in a game in any of the 4 major American professional leagues. He played 22 games. He retired in November 2014. He married his longtime partner Brunson Green in May 2025. And then, just months later, he was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma, one of the most aggressive forms of brain cancer. He traveled to Singapore for experimental treatment. Early 2026 reports indicated his tumors had responded positively. He has talked about his fight publicly, with the same directness he brought to that Sports Illustrated essay, on his terms, his way. Next on the list is Isaac Humphries. The final name on this list takes us out of the United States entirely, to Australia, to a team locker room in Melbourne, and to a moment that everyone who was in that room has said they'll never forget. Isaac Humphries was born in Sydney in 1998. He played college basketball at the University of Kentucky, one of the premier programs in the country, then had a brief NBA stint with the Atlanta Hawks in 2019, appearing in 5 games before returning to Australia to build his professional career in the National Basketball League. He is currently a co-captain of the Adelaide 36ers and one of the best centers the NBL has. In November 2022, while playing for Melbourne United, Humphries gathered his teammates and told them he was gay. The club released a video of the moment. It spread around the world within hours.
One of the best players in the NBL, Isaac Humphries, has now also become one of the few elite Australian sportsmen to come out as gay. The Melbourne United player is the only openly gay basketballer in the NBL who is currently competing in a top-tier men's league.
What Humphries said in the interviews that followed made clear the decision was years in the making. He described depression. He described hiding. He described performing a version of himself that was never quite real. He talked about coming close to not surviving his mid-20s. And then he described choosing differently and choosing to do it publicly, specifically so young people watching could understand that survival was possible.
Decided that if I'm going to join a team, that I'm going to come out publicly and just make sure people know. Sorry.
Because what he wanted people to know was not complicated.
That you can live and you don't have to hide.
His CEO at Melbourne United appeared on ABC News Australia and spoke about what the moment meant for the sport.
And the importance around that, and the fact that Isaac really wants to use his platform to make a difference, and as we said, around young boys and girls knowing that they can be who they want to be. It's an exciting journey for us all.
Humphries re-signed with Adelaide on a multi-year deal and continues to perform at a high level. He was named team co-captain. His career did not suffer for his honesty. His platform only grew. He is one of only a tiny handful of openly gay men competing at the elite level of professional basketball anywhere in the world right now. In a sport where that number should, by any statistical logic, be significantly higher, his presence means something that goes well beyond whatever he puts up in the box score. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for more.